performance coach and owner at Peak, sitting down with me today. And what makes this conversation really exciting is an opportunity for you to get to know what Peak is doing, what they're building, and who these incredible coaches are. My son is at this facility, and he has enjoyed the level of care they bring to the table, not just in, asking how you're doing, but technique, putting you where you are and really making the pieces come together as you grow into your position. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Where are you originally from?
Georgia, Marietta, Georgia.
And how long have you been in Utah for?
I've been in Utah since, 2013 originally. It was my freshman year at BYU. Spent a decent amount of time in Idaho and moved back to Utah a few years ago.
So what took you into sports performance training and what got you started in all of this?
Yeah, always played sports growing up. I would say baseball, football were, my main two sports growing up. And then as I got deeper into high school, started to like football a little bit more. So ended up going to college and playing football. But with that said, like I said, just always was around sports and playing sports and trying to train, whether it be on my own with friends, at a field or actually going to a trainer growing up. So I feel like it was just something natural to kind of transition into once I was done playing in college. But with that said, like it was something that, I really started to take serious in college, sophomore, junior year, and really diving into research and learning a lot about doing some internships and such. And after that, had some guys that just really trusted me in it and gave me some opportunities.
What position did you play throughout your career?
Yeah, so I played running back in high school. Obviously undersized at that position, but really, I consider myself just a football player, right? I don't know, not faster, stronger than anybody really, or obviously bigger. But when I get out there, I kind of can just tap into a zone and go into a mode to where it's obviously me versus you, but just got a different kind of heart and fight towards the game and really anything I was doing. So whether it be training or actually, getting into a game on the field, was able to really just like hone into that my senior year, have some success and create some opportunities for myself to get to college and play.
Who did you play for, BYU?
So went to BYU freshman year, redshirted, spent a couple spring balls there as well, and then ended up transferring to Idaho State.
I've heard a lot of really positive things about Idaho State and the coach there.
Yeah. So I've had some new coaches over the past few years, but definitely headed in the right direction. Got a great athletic director over there. But yeah, just really doing some great things.
So played all through high school, college. The transition from high school to college, giving some of these athletes perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of expectations should they set for themselves when they're hoping to be recruited or get a scholarship or even maybe just redshirted? What is that? Is that, if I understand right, that's where you get to go on the team, but you're not really playing starting?
Correct, yeah. So really, opportunity obviously to be on the team, but more so just, practice, play scout team, and help others get better as you're developing as an athlete yourself. But I would say in terms of the transition from high school to college, I can't really say too much about it. Why? Because it's so different today than it was like when I was coming out of high school. 13 years ago now. So
Is it
wow. It's been a minute. But with that said, like, obviously times change, things change, and the transition now is like much different than it was back then. With that said, though, I would say obviously things, like hard work will always be, the backbone of this thing, right? Regardless of no matter how much money starts to come into play, whether it be in high school or college, if you don't work hard, you don't really give yourself a chance. Because there's somebody else out there that is taking it a little bit more serious than you, possibly, regardless of how much money they're making or not making.
I think that's a really good point. You probably see a lot of really talented athletes, but are they truly applying the hard work to get to where they want? Because they know they're talented, and probably comes a little bit easier versus someone that works really hard without that talent.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes me it could be like tough to work with at times. Why? Because I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You know, like if you come into a session 1 week and I don't see you for 2 weeks, I'm gonna let you know when I see you again. So it could be uncomfortable. But with that said, like I don't really see a point in allowing kids to slack or kind of coast under the radar under their potential, especially when their parents are funding this thing and paying for them to come train and get better, right? So, yeah, it's important to really instill those, values and beliefs into these kids at an early age.
That's what I noticed was really different about your guys' facility. You have what I call the trainer mill, where you get these facilities and they have a background or they made it to professional athleticism and assume they know how to carry the skills and do the concepts and trainings, even though they weren't trained in training. And I know you have a background in actually working and training people, not just because you're an athlete and have the title. You learned the skills, you have the tools to apply, which I think is two very different things. And then that becomes kind of like an athlete mill where you bring them in, you hustle, you get the parents to pay. And when I spoke to you guys about my son coming there, the thing that mattered the most to me was, how are you helping my son after he leaves practice? And you guys have strong values, high standards, and who you expect that athlete to be as a young man or a young woman, because they train females too, is on the field carries off the field too. And outside of the field, when you graduate and you stop playing sports, who have you become as a man, a woman, a husband, father? Those same things still apply. And I love that you're shifting that in their mindset too and applying it to life.
Correct. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, if I allow you to show up late to every session and not say anything to you or hold you accountable to that, I'm setting you up for failure, right? Point
Accountability
blank,
is
period.
so big.
So, accountability and being able to even hold yourself accountable and hold yourself to a high standard, I think is huge. So it's one thing for it to be coming from me, but it's got to really, get to a point where that corner kind of turns and you can hold yourself accountable and not have to need anybody else or not need anybody else to do that.
It's almost like you hold yourself to a level of accountability because you want to hit it and you hold yourself to that standard. I don't like the word guilt or shame, but you almost have to feel a little bit of that
Yeah.
to hit that standard.
Yep.
Yeah. What is the problem you see with youth development from your perspective as you guys decided to design Peak?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly why we put this thing together. There's so many athletes out there, there's so many parents out there that don't necessarily, the intent is in the right place for sure, but they don't necessarily know how to navigate this thing or do it completely the right way, right? So you see so many kids spending so much time and yeah, money realistically on, obviously the 7-on-7, the skills training and X, Y, and Z, and not so much on developing their bodies and getting stronger and getting faster, right? And taking care of their nutrition for
Right.
that matter. So we put this thing together to allow ourselves to control the environment, right? We know we're going to get the kids to walk through the door. Why? Because we have some of the best trainers out there. But with that said, when they walk through the door, it's our job in that assessment to assess them, see where they're at today and how we can even help them if we can, or if we can't, we can't. If we don't see it as a good fit, we'll let you know, right? But if we can, we're going to develop a plan and a program for you that's going to allow you to be as successful as you want to be, right? So whether that be us telling you like, hey, for you and where you're at right now, maybe only doing skills training twice a week, but doing performance training 3 to 4 days a week is what you need, and we need you to trust us and believe in that process. That's what you should do right now, right? But if you're not hearing that from anybody and you're not getting that reality or that wake up call, you'll continue to kind of just spin this wheel and never get better, right? And I think that's the biggest problem right now is there's no development. Everybody wants to play games. I can play games all year, but if I never give myself a chance to truly develop and become a better athlete, I mean, what am I playing these games for, right? So
I mean, that's a good point. Why are
yeah,
you playing the game?
yeah,
Is it because you like all the things that comes with because it sounds cool? Or like one of your other coaches had mentioned, do you love the daily grind?
yeah,
Do you love the work you're putting in where you can actually look back and say, I'm really proud of the person I grew into, whether the end result was college, NFL, whatever that might be. I'm really proud that I went all in on yourself.
Yep.
The first time I met you and Rob, I was so impressed for a couple of reasons. Went down to the facility and you guys openly said, this is the vision. How you guys have executed that vision is so professional, very organized. You have processes in place. Your goal is you don't need to be stressed out anymore to do more things. And so even if somebody's pinging you or whatever, you're very mindful to take the time to put certain things in place so your organization runs very well, which allows you guys to do what you do best and stay focused on the athletes. And I think that can be a ball missed where people feel like they have to control everything in their organization, and all you do is structure and then you let it go. Mm-hmm. And then finding the best people. Even I was an interview where I was like, I'd love to help and contribute, but like I have to be a good fit too. And finding people that align with your values, I think that's a big thing. You could accept anybody's money.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, is it helping your business if they're not a good fit?
Yep. So true. So true. But no, I appreciate that. I mean, me and Rob are on the phone, I mean, more than anybody. Like, we talk daily and really around the clock about how to continue to make this thing get better and better, right? So this is something we lose sleep over. Why? Because we know how great it can be and how great we want it to be. And yeah, to your point, we have really done a great job, I would say, executing this thing, from, kind of where we started on the napkin, on the whiteboard, really just putting ideas together. And now all this stuff has come to fruition. But at the end of the day, the values have to remain at the forefront. Like you said, the athletes have to be the number one thing that makes this thing go. And they are, right? But if we start to lose sight of that by trying to do too much or get our hands in too many different things, then we start to really hurt ourselves and hurt our athletes in terms of their results and how we can continue to execute.
The biggest problem I see with people that start gyms too is people try to be in each other's lane.
Yep.
You guys have picked a lane. You delegate, you have incredible communication, and you focus on what you're really good at.
Yeah.
Like Rob has his highlights, you have your highlights, and then together you come together at the end of the table and you're communicating. Why is that important? Because you are an example for these boys in what leadership should look like, communication example. And I'm going to say this too, like, I've never had so many young men respect me as a female, meaning value what I'm doing for them, ask questions, kind of like, not that I'm a mom, their mom, but a mom figure where they feel like I'm included, and there's just there's a level of respect your facility brings. Even Camber, your social media gal, she's like, the environment here, the energy, you just want to be here because everyone is excited and they're working on themselves and it's positive. And I don't know that I've been to many facilities that are really like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it starts at the top, right? Like you said, it starts at the top and it goes from the top down. And if we don't show up with that energy every single day, if we don't collab, we don't come together and continue to communicate and have the relationship we have, that never will be able to happen for any of these athletes. They won't really understand how to do that themselves, or they'll just never possibly see a good example of what that looks like. So it's a great point. Yeah, like Rob, I mean, really not just me and Rob, like everybody in the facility, right, has done a great job kind of staying in their lane. And from the beginning, that's really been what it's all about, right? Yes, Rob could probably teach a kid how to get stronger and faster. But does he need to? No, because he trusts me and trusts what I can do. Same, on the DB side of things. He's literally the best out there at what he does. He just wants to do that and be great at that, though, right? Same with Ross, same with Vic, same with Lopini, like literally everyone across the board, even Cambry and yourself, right? Like, you guys do a great job of just honing in on what you're great at and doing it, and adding value to this business as things just continue to scale and grow. And if we can continue to do that, like, there's no limit to what this thing can become.
There's really not. And here's what I love about every single person. They come in and they give even beyond. They're excited to contribute. I don't feel like you've had to really go out of your way to make things happen. It's like you set this energy and you've attracted universally just the right people, and it just grows like a flow state, right?
Yeah.
That energy. Um, what things do you do to keep yourself grounded and to work on you? So for your athletes watching or people who, um, you show up for, what things do you do for you so you can show up for them?
Yeah, I would say family. Yeah, family is big for me, and being able to spend time with them, yes, but be present, and actually pour time and energy into my family is huge for me. And I mean, these kids have seen me bring my daughter to sessions, have my daughter on my hip at a combine while I'm setting things up and putting things down. So I think things like that is good for them to see. Why? Because they know that like I put that first, regardless of what I'm doing here at Peak or how many sessions I got during the day. Like no, that is always going to come first for me. So I would say that's like the biggest thing for me right now is just that allows me to stay grounded because I know that's my support system and that's where really like why I'm doing all this at the end of the day. Yeah, like I know, you know what I mean, these athletes are important, but I got a daughter at home that I know needs the same love and support that these guys are getting on a daily basis. Same with my wife, same with my mom, right? So really whoever it is, I think it's a great thing for them to see and it's a great example for them.
So it sounds like you set really healthy boundaries,
Yeah.
minus the time that I texted you to make sure we were on, we were on appointment.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I noticed that I think boundaries too are missed um, in nowadays culture. I think because of social media and the convenience of just how everything's really convenient, it
Yeah.
takes some really strong boundaries to implement that. I appreciate that he gets to bring his daughter because I brought my boys to the gym when I had one, and it taught them exactly what you said. They see you working, you're setting an example, and that's really the imprint she's going to have is like, my dad just wasn't skipping work or leaving me, and then
Mhm.
being able to include her. Who knows the memories she'll have when I know I have lots of pictures for my boys, and it was some of the funnest things. You catch them in the gym doing something, and I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
When you guys were putting Peak together, how did you come up with the name?
Um.
Like, what was the thought process where you're like, Peak?
Yeah, it was honestly pretty quick. So me and Rob kind of went back and forth on a couple different names. And Peak was realistically a name that I used kind of in a different way a few years ago when I was running a business in Idaho. So as we started to kind of formulate this thing and put it together, I was like, you know what, like let's just bring it back, but let it just be Peak, right? Like not peak performance, not peak sports performance, not peak training, like just Peak. And a lot of what went into that had to do with, this idea of like this chase, right? It's constant. So even when you feel like you've gotten to the peak, you know, there's still more you can do. There's still a lot further you can go, and you might not even realize it. So like realistically, like don't work for an outcome. Just keep working, right? Like so many of us get caught up in that idea of like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna work hard until I get this, or I'm gonna work hard until this
They're
happens.
focused on the end result rather than the
100%.
journey.
Yeah. So like, just be where your feet are and like be on the journey. Stay on the journey and just keep working. Don't work for an outcome. Just keep working. And that's one of the biggest things that we try to instill and preach is like just work. Just stay ready. Don't just prepare for the war like before the war. Like no, like we just gotta keep sharpening the sword because we don't know when the opportunity is gonna present itself. We just know we gotta be prepared.
Oh, 100%. What do you think separates you guys the most from any other training facility in the Valley?
I would say number one, the trainers we have, but number two, how much we actually pour into like what we do and like why we do it, right? Like even down to, I mean, our schedule, right? Like this is something we communicate on not just weekly but daily to try to figure out new things and things to put on the schedule that are going to be better in terms of recovery for the kids or X, Y, and Z, right? Like we just put so much care, time, and attention to detail in this entire system that we've created and continues to, just evolve because of that. And as it gets better and better, our athletes, we're noticing they're continuing to just progress and get better and better as well, right? So just, I would say, yeah, like I said, that the trainers we have, but also it really comes down to how we execute, and how much we care and how much time we put into it.
What does an assessment look like for somebody who comes in their very first time?
Yeah, so for an assessment, somebody will come in. 9 times out of 10, they be with myself. We start with a warm up. After that dynamic warm up and activation, we get into some testing. So typically, we test your broad jump, vertical, 5'10" fly, and 5'10" 5. Now, if we get some, maybe different sports or different athletes in there, we might test different things. But now we also have access to the Z tread. Okay, so
Oh
that's
yeah,
something
the
that we
Z
will.
tread, you guys. You got to check out those reels.
Yep.
I actually really was tempted to run on it, even though I had sandals
Yeah,
on.
me too. And I knew I was gonna get my butt kicked. But yeah, now having the Z tread, that is something that we're gonna start to implement, or integrate into our assessment, and more so just in getting people used to it, getting people familiar with it at a level 0, week 1, session 1, kind of day or session. But I think it's gonna be a great thing and a great tool for us to just start to use that day 1, week 1 when they come in for their first session.
Okay, you got to tell people why that is so key. It's not just a treadmill, and I mean, I knew that, but I didn't even consciously think about it. Why a treadmill like that is so important to your performance.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, I could sit here all day and talk about the science behind, what it's gonna do to the body in terms of mechanics and speed. Yes, but in all reality, it comes down to the technology, right? And us being able to use speed to program speed. It's not being done anywhere. It's never been done before, right? So to have an athlete be able to run, max velocity 2010 or 30 build into a 10 fly, capture their miles per hour, allow that to immediately be, transferred to the screen on this treadmill. I click the athlete's name
What do you
and
mean
all of
transfer to the
their
click? So as they're on the
yeah. So
treadmill,
before we even get to the treadmill, we start with a warm up, right?
Okay.
And in this ground session, we go through a ground prep, really just prep them to sprint. After we prep them to sprint, we sprint. And in this sprint, we're capturing, like I said, we're capturing miles per hour. So after this miles per hour, as this miles per hour or this 10 fly is being captured on the lasers, it's immediately going into the Uberzadi app, right? Which is like connected to the treadmill.
okay.
So that screen that you see next to it,
Yeah.
that's what we're looking at, right? It's the same interface we see on the iPad. So as that is being captured, like I said, on the laser, it's immediately going into the interface of Uberzadi on the back end. And as I go to the treadmill, I can tap the screen, I pull up the athlete. Now, all of the sprints that we're doing for this day are programmed based on the speed they ran that day, right? Not what I think, not based off of how
Your
I feel.
clicker?
Yeah, it takes all the, subjectivity out of it. Realistically, like you're gonna run as fast as you need to, and it's programmed based off of that and that alone, right? And we can continue to go through, the protocols consistently week over week, and progress through the different levels. But at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to: is the technology is allowing us to do things that you just can't do anywhere else.
Well, it sounds like it's how you get really individualized programming per athlete, because if you had everybody doing the same thing, which is also what we do on the nutrition side, you're taking an assessment, you're looking at the body composition, you're looking at speed, I'm looking at if they've got gut issues, and making sure you give the most tools to that athlete to be successful, which the more customization to them, how can you not be?
Correct. Yeah, and I mean we got to get specific, right? Like that's why we're doing this. And at the end of the day, there would be no point in us doing an assessment if we weren't gonna make your training specific to you, right? So like we gotta practice what we preach and like really stand on what we believe.
The other thing that I really like about what you guys offer is take away the physical performance, take away the cool machines, emotional and mental health. This environment is not this toxic masculinity of like push hard, or I mean, you want to work hard, you want to push hard, but it's encouraged in a way that's positively reinforced them with accountability, with a lot of those other things that come with it. And I really love that, because I feel like as you're building these next generation, there's so much to that, why that mindset counts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even yeah, like I said before, when you look at the schedule, like it speaks volumes to exactly what you just said. There's so much care in even when we talk recovery, right? Like there's other facilities that I worked at in the past, or I mean, even when I was running my own thing myself years ago, right? Like everybody wants to talk about recovery and preach it and tell a kid they need to recover, but like to actually put these classes on the schedule every single day throughout the week and give them a chance to come learn how to actually do it, how to take care of their bodies, and like what recovery looks like and feels like, that's different. That's next
Recovery is
level,
huge.
right? So like, I mean, we had a mobility session today at noon, and there was 15 athletes in there.
Okay, so what is mobility? Define what mobility really is.
Yeah, so mobility, I would say, in terms of like science, right? Our ability to really be mobile through different ranges of motion, start to finish. And like ideally, when we talk about like static stretching, sure, flexibility is like one thing, but being able to be mobile, I would say, is much more important for an athlete. Being able to like truly move your body, start to finish through different planes of motion, but also like full range of motion. Yep,
Instead of just saying, hey, go to yoga, you're actually
exactly.
giving them
Yeah.
specific key points, and that will be huge for them in their life. If you have an office job where you sit down and you don't know how to like stretch out your hips,
Yeah.
I mean, how many people have bad back problems or they don't have a quality of life? And like you said, you're a father. At the end of the day, these are going to be parents.
Yep.
So why not being able to relate those skills later on? Um, so with recovery, I love that we don't push a lot of supplements. I love that we are very nutrition based in whole foods. Sleep being a huge one. Most of your athletes report to me that they're getting adequate sleep, which makes me so happy because if your brain can have appropriate time to recover, it's going to send down the signals into your body, trigger into anti-inflammation mode, and they're going to be sharper the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that all those are supported. And then if there are supplements that are recommended, they're either a credible company, they have a product that works. I think we've had Relight, we've got DEXA for those athletes that are working with it,
Yeah.
us. Really great companies that have also partnered up to support Peak, and that's exciting. Um, when it comes to parents,
Mm-hmm.
and listen, I can talk about this because I'm okay with it, but I had a conversation with Rob, and he had to put me in my place in a way that was like, I called him to say, hey, talk about Mason. And he said, how come Mason isn't coming to me about this? And I had that moment where I went, oh my gosh, why isn't Mason coming to you about this? And it wasn't because I intentionally was thinking I want to coddle him or anything, but where do you think how parents can show up better when it comes to supporting their athlete and teaching them how to be self-led?
Mm. I think it comes down to belief. And a lot of times that looks different, right? Like you gotta let your kid know and show them, yeah, that you believe in them, but you also gotta give them space to like figure things out themselves. I can give you a ton of guidance. I can tell you, everything I possibly know about strength or speed, but it's really up to you at the end of the day if you want to use that or not, right? So I think a lot of times, and I'm a parent now, so I can't sit here
You're
and like
gonna
talk
learn.
like, I'm a brand new parent, right? So I really don't know. I guess I'll find out in about 10 years. But realistically, like in my opinion, and more so just speaking from experience as I'm seeing athletes come in, I think it's a good idea, I would say, in my opinion, to allow them the space to, figure things out sometimes. Yes, giving them guidance and giving them the tools they need always is going to come first. But after that, they have to go practice. They have to go put those things to test and like really have the space to do that on their own and figure it out. And if they never have that opportunity, I don't know that you're actually showing them that you believe they can do those things that you're teaching them to do, you know?
Well, physically, and then the communication part, right? If they miss, like you said, if they're not coming into their practice, whose responsibility is that? Is the parent making an excuse for them? And for me, in my situation, it was more like I was communicating Mason's schedule, and he's like, okay, well, how come Mason's not coming to me about this? And I went, oh, well, I do have too many things to do. He should be. And so, and I would imagine you probably get certain types of mindset with parents where they think their kid is the best or they want special treatments. How do you manage that?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't do that at Peak.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
everybody.
can't come in entitled.
No. I mean, you can. You're more than welcome to, but um, I don't know. Like you'll either know pretty quickly that we don't really put up with that, um, or it just might not be the place for you. And I think that's another thing that kind of sets us apart. Like we're not gonna beg people to come train with us. It's for the people who want to be there, right? And
Yeah.
if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. There's a lot of places that you can go train and get better and become a better athlete. What we have though is special, and we know that.
You know your
So yeah,
value.
we know our value, and it's a privilege to be able to train at Peak and like work in our system, right? I won't say to work with our coaches because it's really the system that the coaches have put together that has allowed us to do what we do, and allow these athletes to be successful. But in an ideal world, I would say, yeah, like just don't come in with that because it's just not a place for it, right? Every athlete at Peak, regardless of who you are, what your status is, how good you are, or bad you are, you're gonna get treated the same. You're gonna get the same level of coaching. You're gonna get the same attention to detail as the NFL starter, right?
Which I
So
didn't know. I was talking to like an NFL star, and that's how humble these athletes are.
yep,
And I've never experienced a parent who was like that. I mean, I really haven't. Everybody just wants to see everybody win, and that's a different energy. Excited, whether they're the best or they're not, they're there as a team to encourage. And when some of these kids, they just look so young to me. They're just so young, but
yeah,
I love that. They're humble. I think one of them was a hockey player,
yeah,
and somebody said, "Do you know what his level is?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
yeah,
That's just the incredible kind of people you're cultivating, and I love that.
yep. Yeah, you can come in there, and I mean, you'll see. Oh my gosh! I mean, every level, every shape, size, color, like it really, any given day doesn't matter, right? And all those kids, like I said, are getting the same exact treatment, getting the same exact training, which is something that we really pride ourselves on at the end of the day. Because, like I said, doesn't matter who you are, you know what you're gonna get when you come to Peak.
So, what are some of the other services you offer? And can parents, if they're waiting, are they able to access, some of your workout tools too?
Yeah, so we offer like remote programming for sure in terms of speed and strength. Outside of that, though, I would say in the facility, obviously skills training, performance training, and on the skills training side, we have some great coaches in there. So for football specifically, wide receiver, D line, DB, obviously, running back. Are all covered, right? So if you play any of those positions, obviously linebacker as well. A lot of linebackers work with Rob. But yeah, really any of those positions are covered. On the football side, we have Tasia, who's a great volleyball coach and trainer, as well as Ben now, who's a great softball coach and trainer. So
Okay, so you've got
really
almost
got
every
a
sport in
yeah.
there.
So I got a ton of
Yeah.
skills coaches in there now. Myself, Junior, and Peyton. Really kind of spearhead the performance training side of things. And then outside of that, we got Dr. Fife, who comes in and does great work on the chiropractic side of things. Also offers dry needling, cupping, shockwave therapy, like all these
His skill
different
set is
services.
phenomenal, by
Yeah,
the
so
way.
he's a great
Yeah.
asset to the team as well. And then we got yourself taking care of the nutrition. And Cambry, who does a great job with the social media and marketing side of things. So, I mean, just across the board, like the services that we can offer, the team we have, it's second to none. And then now you add in these different things, like having Malachi with Blurry Boys and his barbershop upstairs in the
Well, at the
facility.
rate these kids need
Like
haircuts,
that's,
you make that
yeah,
convenient for me. You bet you
yeah.
I'm there.
So
Yeah.
even things like that, I think are huge for us to have and just
Yeah.
add great value to what we do.
So at the Peak facility, I want to make it clear, you do offer additional resources and tools. For example, I had one of your athletes is a father,
Hmm.
and he plays recreational sports. These tools, like we said before, aren't just for the field. These are the same things you can carry into life. Him being an example, plays recreational sports, wants to work on his mobility because it prevents injury. And then into that, you're being in that environment, which a lot of that mindset in that athlete, you just get to cultivate that. So you don't, it's not like you leave that and you leave that behind.
Correct.
And his goals was to also improve his nutrition. He's got a son, he's got a family. It's like all cultivated in one. And it's just, I think it's about having those life skills your whole life.
Yeah,
Don't limit it to just thinking you're on a football field and it stops there.
for sure. And I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. I already mentioned Schaefer, the hockey player,
Uh-huh.
and who he is. But I mean, even yesterday, like we just recently had a couple strongman athletes start training with us. They compete in strongman. That's what they do. But their entire goal when they came in was, hey, we just want to learn how to move better and possibly get more
Well,
efficient
what does a
in our
strongman
movement.
do? If you're not
Yeah.
using your core,
So,
activating your muscles,
yep.
and having good technique, which is what you're zoning in on, how are they supposed to lift that amount of weight appropriately? Because it's not just one way of doing things.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, like whoever you are, doesn't matter who you are. We're there for really anything, any way we can help, we'll bridge the gap.
Is there anything that you feel like is important for people to know about Peak outside of the incredible training facility and the vision of where it's going?
Um, I would say just know how much we care. Honestly, this is what we do. This is not a side gig for us. This isn't just a thing we go to the facility, you see us do during the day, and then we go home and kind of kick our feet up. No, like we're working on this all day, all night, and really formulating this thing to be the best possible facility it can be for any and every athlete and every person out there, right? So I would say just know that this is just the beginning. I mean, we're 6 months in. Right,
Is
it
that
might seem
it?
it might seem like we've been in business for a long time, but we're
Well, how
literally
you
just
guys
6 months
act,
in.
it feels
So
like you've been here for years.
yeah, and I mean, why though is because what we do. Yes, we've been doing that. We've all been training for years and kind of in our own respective lanes and doing our own thing. But to come together and do what we've done in this first 6 months has been amazing. But like I said, just know that like this is just the beginning. This thing's just getting started. It's just gonna keep getting better and better. So like if I wouldn't wait to get started with us. Like now's the time to join because you want to get started now.
Okay, we're gonna do some fun questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you could, when you get to have like a meal of your own, what's your favorite thing to eat off nutrition plan?
That's tough. I like so much food. It would have to be wings though.
Wings.
Yeah, and it's tough out here being from Atlanta. Like,
Oh,
man,
Southern food. They've got wings.
you just can't go nowhere to get good wings out here. So most of the time I'll just cook them, which is fine. But yeah, I would say wings probably. Wings, any kind of like fried chicken or something like that with some fries. Yeah.
What's your favorite non-athletic activity to do?
Non-athletic activity to do, probably cooking. Honestly, yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I go crazy in the kitchen.
Oh, I bet your wife loves that.
Yeah, she does. She's lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but nah, like I love to cook too though. Like it's a fun thing to me, and I kind of approach it the same way I do training. Like I can't just kind of half step in the kitchen. I need all my ingredients.
You need the tools.
Yeah, I
and
need
the
the
food.
tools. So like, it's a serious thing. Yeah.
Where do you want to see yourself 5 years from now?
Um, that's a great question. I would say 5 years from now, I would like to see myself really doing the same exact thing I'm doing right now, just in a kind of higher level role. And that realistically would just speak volumes to, I would say, number one, how good I actually am as a leader and how far I can take this thing, but two, how systematic I can actually be and how much systems I can actually create to allow this business to continue to run and not need me, because I think that's something that kind of gets missed sometimes and something that I've kind of been missing in the past that I was able to learn, working for such a big company like EOS,
Yeah.
and being away from it for a little bit and then getting back into it, working for a company like that, like you got 1,000 other people, 10,000 other people you're working with. But the people you work for, they're going to hold you to a high level and a high standard. So you got to be able to produce and get results by holding other people accountable in the right way, you know? So I think all those things, I've been able to kind of, hone in on and transfer those skills and tools into what I'm doing with Peak. But like I said, 5 years from now, it'll really, that'll tell the story, right? Like, how good are you? How good can you become? How many systems can you actually create? How much can you delegate? How much can you trust? Right? Like, that's gonna be the real, I would say, the biggest questions for me over the next 5 years.
Do you think you can tell pretty quick if an athlete's going to take it all the way?
Um, sometimes,
Okay.
sometimes, and for me, a lot of times it really comes down to what I see and how they work.
What would you say is outside of the physical, obviously showing up to every practice, but where do you think they really can set themselves apart when being looked at or recruited?
Consistency. And when I say consistency, like, consistency shows and tells more than I can say myself, or I can tell you with any number or any piece of data, right? I can see and I can tell if you've been consistent. But realistically, like, consistency is always going to be what separates all of us at the end of the day. So if we can't stay consistent, and when I say consistent, like, I ain't talking for 3 months, right? Like, that's cool, that's cute. But if you can't stick to something for a couple of years and, like, really try to see it through, I don't know if this is really for you, right? Because, like I said before, like, we don't do this for a certain outcome, because you'll get to a level where it ain't as, like, easy as it once was, you know. And
Is that
that's
where you see
the
a lot of athletes drop off?
yeah, honestly, yeah, because I would say yes and no. Some yes, others are able to be more consistently, right? To where when they get to that next level, they're prepared and they don't got to play catch up. They don't got to be nervous, right? They know what they've worked for, they know what they prepared for, and they can just show up and be ready.
And I think that comes back to what we talked about earlier is um, your consistency builds confidence, and then that confidence putting in the work daily. And if you know you gave it all, you look back and can be proud of what you did. I think that so much falls into business. I think when I was competing in the things that I did, whether it was a triathlon or bodybuilding, I could look back, no matter what the result was, knowing if I gave it 100%, and then your placement didn't matter. I mean, it mattered, but you weren't so focused on that because you were so proud of yourself for accomplishing that.
Yeah. And I would 100% agree. That's something I always bring up, even in training sessions, right? Like, to any of these athletes, realistically, we've all had, most of us have had that moment or that test that we've studied so hard for, and you show up for it and it's a breeze, right? Because you prepared.
You're prepared.
You knew what was going to be on it, right? But we've also had those moments where we forgot there was going to be a test tomorrow, or we just procrastinated.
Last minute.
Yeah, and then we show up that next day and, oh shit, like, now I got an F, or I'm gonna have to retake this test, right? So
Yeah.
we don't get retakes though. And what we do, we don't get a retry. So, like, that's another reason why, like, I mean, any sprint coach will tell you too, right? This thing is very specific when it's programmed the right way. So when I tell you we're gonna prep to sprint, and at the end of this prep we got 2 free sprints to put together and, like, apply everything you've learned today, I mean, we got 2 sprints. So you better put everything you got into these 2 sprints. I don't want to hear, like, no, let me get another one. No, like, we don't get a redo. When you go to the combine, you get 2 runs.
Okay, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Combine. You guys host these incredible events. You have one coming up at the end of July.
Yep.
And tell us what it's prepping you for and why it matters.
Yeah. So what it's prepping us for is exactly what I just talked about. There's so many, and I see this in, I would say, what I do more than anything. Why? Being able to do combine and pro day training. You see guys show up every single year who have not worked on these things at all, and they show up and you got 8 weeks to teach them everything you know about it, right? And get them fully prepared to go out and perform at their absolute best for the most important interview of their life. right? So
I like how you said that. This
yeah,
is an interview.
yeah, it's an interview, right? So if we don't take that serious and start teaching these kids these tools now, I mean, yeah, that cycle's gonna continue. So what we decided is, no, we're gonna start having combines. Well, we're gonna do one every quarter. Every single quarter, we're gonna have a combine. What does
Which
that
I
do
haven't
for
heard
us?
before, by the way, that
Yeah,
other facilities were doing.
yeah, but it does a couple things for us and our athletes. Number one, I would say it gives them an opportunity to put these things to test, to put the training that we're doing for them to test. But number two, it gives us an opportunity to actually track our progress and our results, right? Look at the numbers and see how much we're
Metrics.
actually improving. Because I can look at you as a parent all day and tell you, little Jimmy, it looks like he got faster. But if I can show you numbers, that's a little different,
Right.
right? So these combines and showcases, I would say now are actually going to look a little different. So as I would say, a lot of people have seen, especially on social, specifically on Instagram, we have a really cool partnership with Universal Speed Rating (USR).
Okay.
So now we'll actually be doing our first official showcase with USR in August. Okay, so it'll be mid-August. We'll announce a date soon and start to market that. But with that said, plan on doing that at a local high school. It'll be a really big event. We'll have food trucks there and the whole nine. We'll be able to actually do some coaching before we get into the testing. So that is actually something that is going to separate this from the normal combines that we typically do. Why? Because we don't do any coaching at those. It's you show up, you test, and we're there to get numbers, right? But this one specifically, like I said, we'll start with some coaching and training, and then after that, we'll get into the testing, be able to capture a bunch of numbers and stuff, get some, obviously get some new athletes integrated with our system and with our training at Peak. And with that said, after that first showcase we have, we'll continue to do them once a quarter, but now everything will be officially partnered with USR. So it just makes it that much more official, that much more verified. And all these times we'll be able to give these kids a USR rating, which is something that's new.
I don't think anybody else is
Yeah,
doing that.
nobody's doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a few facilities out there that have already. I think there's maybe one showcase they've already done. But yeah, this is something that's brand new. We're kind of in the first wave of them, so it's exciting for us. I know it's exciting for USR as well, as a company that has obviously been able to grow over the past few years and really get to where they've gotten to now. But great partners there that we have, and Olivia, Drew, and everybody that put these things together. But like I said, we're excited for this, and we know it's going to do great things for our athletes and really athletes across the state of Utah.
That date is going to be in August. They have your prep combine in the end of July.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be July
July 25th.
25th.
Yep.
Typically at a high school, like what is it, Lehigh High School?
Yeah, so we usually do those at Lehigh High School. So that will
Yeah.
be at Lehigh High School, and that'll be our last Peak combine. And then, like I said, that next month, rolling in August, we'll have that first official USR Peak showcase.
I'm just going to tell you, as I sit here and we're having the conversation, I get motivated. I get excited. I'm not training for the combine, but the energy of time,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the word you're saying, but it's the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to end with that. How important is the energy you bring as a person to your environment?
It's everything. It's everything. And that's why, we talk about what I do off the clock and how I pour into my own cup and motivate myself. I think that's important. Why? Because if I can't show up at the end of the day as, a leader and have good energy and display how much I actually care about this to these kids, nothing that I'm saying actually matters, right? And we've all heard that saying that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Like we really live that, right? Like we really believe that, and we put that we put our best foot forward in terms of displaying that as well, every single day. So I would say that's one of the biggest things for me is being able to show up with the right energy every day by showing these kids how much I care. And if I can do that, they're going to always give me everything they got. And that's all I need. Just show up. If you can show up, I promise you I got the rest.
I like that. It
Yeah.
sounds like a good partnership for these kids, teaching them in those. How can they find you?
So Instagram at Peak Athlete. Personal Instagram at Khalil Bell _. But yeah, we're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, really every
Yes, you guys,
social
you're watching this on
platform.
YouTube, and you need
Yep.
to share these because we want to help spread the message. We want to help grow. We want to cultivate more communities like
Yep.
this. This is a community.
Yep. It is. It is a community, and we're here for the community, and just to continue pouring into it, to building it, and yeah, literally every step of the way.
Um, Perfect.
Yep.